You catch that earlier with Kirk Lippold on our backing out of that missile agreement we had with the Russians, that it could just as easily send a signal to the Chinese that if we sign a deal with someone, we expect ourselves and the other party to stick to it. So was that also sending a message to the Chinese? Back with me is Deidre Bolton of Fox Business Network. We've got Gary Kaltbaum and Dan Geltrude as well. Dan, a signal there, you think?
I think so, and I think it's good timing for us to do that, Neil, because there's so much on the line with China. We have to get this right, and I think sending a message to say, if you're not going to honor an agreement with the United States, we're not playing any games, we're not messing around, we're pulling out, we go back to tariffs.
How likely is that?
I've been watching China for years. They supposedly rules and regulations, and they've never followed it. Look,
in other words, they've made promises in the past.
Of course, and the same thing with Russia. Look, China's making some good faith efforts right now to say, hey, look what we're going to do. We're going to buy some soybeans, yippee yay, but all they're doing is buying what they got rid of a few months back. So it's a start. I love the fact that Trump is tough. I mean, these are bad players. These are people that don't follow the rules and regulations. By the way, not just our rules and regulations, the world's rules and regulations. I'm surprised Europe and some of these other places aren't yelling and screaming as loud as we are.
Well, they're quietly hoping he succeeds, I think, right?
I mean, yeah, I actually think I think as much as President Trump has said, I'm not a globalist, right, unapologetically, right. I actually think a lot of these countries, Europe in particular, really are hoping that the Trump administration is successful, because it's not about soybeans. I mean, of course, for the farmers, it is very much about soybeans year to year. But this is about technology transfer. The New York Times did this piece quoting Department of Defense retired officials saying, look, the Chinese have stolen all kinds of data for us, from us, like F-15 information, right. F-35. I think we're in this hazy territory where economic theft and military know-how, military intellectual property theft are really overlapping. And I mean, the next world war is more an intellectual property tech war, right? Not so much a war of weapons. And listen, China's been really effective at spying and stealing. I mean, they want to displace, I think, the U.S.
They don't do that.
Well, they say they don't do that, yeah. But I mean, why would they?
And let me just say this, you know, Russia built 100 missiles that they weren't supposed to build, and no president before Trump was yelling and screaming about it. Maybe they were trying to negotiate in a room, but they kept building more and more. I was referring to this Daily News cover that Democrats were cynically saying he was switching to the cave from the shutdown to this so that he could get that monkey off his back. Everything is nefarious from
right.
Democrats on Trump. Forget the fact.
But it is odd that the same camp that said he was in the hip pocket of the Russians now is saying he's risking nuclear war for the world.
Politics. Yeah. And look, this could, you said it best, this could send a message to China. The problem is, and I've been saying this for a long time, China does not have elections. They go their own way. They're a communist country. I am just not so sure that they're just going to say, okay, President Trump, we're going to do whatever you want to do.
But they're hurting, right? Lately, they've been hurting.
China has 2 billion people, and the one thing that their government doesn't want to have is 2 billion people hungry and unhappy, because that risks their power. So I don't think...
So you've been arguing throughout, Dan, that they need this deal more than we do.
Absolutely,
right?
They do.
Now, you could look at the latest numbers from the employment and everything to reinforce your argument. So something's going to happen, presumably the end of next month when the two leaders meet. If it doesn't, are you worried?
If they don't come up with a deal, then I think we have some real concerns about what's going to happen.
Because March 1, the tariffs, the 25% tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese goods would kick in.
I think that'll get extended if there's good faith or negotiating going on between Trump and President Xi. I think they will work things out. I am cautiously optimistic, and I have been the entire time a deal gets worked out.
The second biggest economy in the world has been tanking in China. Their markets have been tanking. Politically, people are upset there. It's a known fact, but whether or not that affects the people running the joint, time will tell.
Yeah, but I mean, you can be president for life, but that isn't etched in stone if things are collapsing.
Absolutely, right? They can take them out. There is still a big political party there. They do need to get something done. I just don't know if they will get something done. And I think if something gets done, it's probably going to be halfway, and both sides are going to say, look how great this is.
Yeah, and I think to your point, all of this talk about whether it's deficits or tariffs, I think those are red herrings for who controls the future of artificial intelligence. So I think, all of this is back and forth. And of course, I was even in Louisiana. I mean, I heard from farmers who are very worried about, especially in the 2 weeks ago, about these soybean tariffs. I personally feel like there's a tacit agreement in the Trump administration. We will take some short-term hits to really kind of restructure our relationship with China. And to your point, he's the first president to probably do that in at least a few decades.
All right. Final word on the subject, guys. I want to thank you all very, very much. Do not touch those sandwiches on the way out. Watching.
Keep an eye on me, Neil.
All right. Very, very good. All right. They're all thin and fit, but I can outrun them to that.